All right, Zan, the Valorant debate does continue. I can try and keep this one short because we've seen a few events there, but my main question to you is what esport and their pro players will transition best into the game of Valorant? There's plenty of options out there. I think probably your top ones are going to be CS, Apex, Overwatch, maybe Fortnite and Call of Duty players, maybe some other ones that we have not heard about. We've announced a lot of pro players already leaving from the middle tier of their scene, especially when it comes to Counter-Strike. A lot of pros have already switched over. Same thing I would say goes for Overwatch as well as Apex. Those are probably your top three. So far throughout events, then we've seen Counter-Strike pros definitely dominate the results.
Yeah,
but
100%.
this past week, the first time we actually had some Apex boys take down the Counter-Strike boys to win the ESPN Invitational. So I fast fire off to you. Which esport translates best so far, do you think, pro players to Valorant?
Well, obviously, the immediate direct transition is CSGO to Valorant. Valorant, everybody knows it. Riot has been pretty open about it. It is essentially a different take on the CSGO system.
What?
You know, shocking, right?
No.
Nobody's ever known. Breaking report from Esports
They
Talk.
said they didn't want to mimic. They just didn't want to go out and copy a top FPS Zen. What are you talking
no, so
about?
they put a new coat of paint on it. That's not copying. It's it's completely different, guys. Look, the guns are different colors.
I'm not judging.
But anyway, so I don't think we're really going to have a direct analog comparison to make here. With mini scenes, Apex is very, very young as an esports scene, and I think a lot of the pros there are just the people who have very good basic FPS abilities. Their aim is on point. Their movement is great. Their positioning and their situational awareness is super strong. And I think we'll see that type of thing rewarded in Valorant in amazing ways. I think Overwatch obviously will transition well because it's slower paced than something like Apex, much more similar to Valorant, and you still got to rely on that base level aiming. So it's going to be interesting to see how the pro scene around Valorant develops, because we've seen people from across the esports industry all express interest in potentially getting involved in the pro play. So I think within the next couple months, we should have some kind of view of what a proper tier list might look like for the pro scene in Valorant.
That was a very respectable answer, because you I would say your answer attunes well with mine, but your reasoning definitely stuck. Especially when it comes to all the minor aspects outside of aim, but aim also being a big one. And I think that's why we probably would agree. I don't think I could nail it down to one, but given recent results, you made a really good point. I'm going to say that CS and Apex players early on will be the best transitioning players into Valorant if they want to leave their current esport, which a lot will. Not only based off aim, but also movement, map awareness. You make some really good points. But I think one point that really stuck with me is that one that people would know if you really look into these Apex players, including the team that actually beat the Counter-Strike team during the ESPN Invitational. That was probably the biggest event we've seen so far, besides, there's only been a few, but certainly one of the more well-noted ones is a lot of those Apex players. Like you said, it's a very early on esports scene over there in Apex. A lot of those players that took down the Counter-Strike guys come from the Counter-Strike scene themselves.
Yeah, not surprised.
So you make a really good point there. I think Apex and Counter-Strike players alone, because aim right now, even the devs themselves have said abilities won't be used to kill. Yes, we've seen counterpoints to that. A lot of abilities can kill, but aim is certainly a gigantic factor. And so that's why I'm going to say probably CS players and Apex players over Overwatch players. But it's going to be very cool to see as this scene transitions out of closed beta what pros will actually emerge, because you got to remember, there's 2.5 rosters right now? Not even. So we'll see what the organizations see, because you and me, we're common people. We will see what the organizations who are scouting people actually see and what kind of talent they look for. And I think if they look towards Counter-Strike talent or Apex talent, that will preach a lot to, if we're right or wrong.
Yeah, I think within the next few weeks, we'll probably have announcements from a few of the major orgs.
I hope so.
What a potential roster
This channel
might
needs
look
some
like.
juice.
Yeah.
We need to rejuice it.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see what kind of rosters we've got going on. I'd love to see teams that are like a mix of CSGO pros and Apex pros.
It's going to be so exciting.
I can't wait for the first guy from Fortnite to transition and just dominate in Valorant for no reason. Absolutely.
Oh, dude, it's gonna.
Yeah,
I'm hitting myself literally. I'm so excited because we're gonna see these mix of teams, and we're gonna see, is it gonna be like Call of Duty where a lot of these lineups are friendship lineups? Are you gonna have to be close to homies? Yeah, for sure. But we're definitely gonna see some real variety of players out there. I'm super excited, and this channel is gonna cover it all, guys. So, what esports pro players do you think transition best from their current esport into Valorant?
Let us know.